Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the 2021 Zurich Classic. This is going to be my value plays. I know I mentioned on my preview and picks show that I wasn't sure if I was going to do another show, but the more I try to start building teams, and probably what you guys have been seeing, it is getting very difficult, and you're going to be down in the 6,000 range if you want to play some of the teams that start in the 11,000 range or the 10,000 range. I think DraftKings, made pricing probably about as difficult as I've ever seen in an event of this nature. And so, it's also, as you've heard on other shows and you're going to hear from me, it's really hard to be confident that, we are able to give you guys this amazing analysis and research to make these picks. But there's some things that I'm going to show and talk about that might just give you some ideas of how you might want to lean even from a betting perspective. I'll talk a little bit about that, as I think this is almost a better betting event than it is a DFS event. And the reason being is that really not any team, but it really opens the door for a lot of teams that are at higher odds that could win this thing. And we'll talk a little bit about that too. So without further ado, let's jump into this. And it's going to be pretty quick, but I want to at least get your ownership projections. I want to give you a little talk about the weather and just my plays that I'm looking at for like the lower 7,000 all the way down. All right, cool. So the first team I want to talk about, and this is like the one team that I really kind of broke down into, is Kevin Tway and Tway Kraft. And of course, these guys have played in this event every time. And some about, both these guys on their own are not good. We'll just start there. But some about Kevin Tway does like to play in this kind of team format. And so what I just pulled up here, you'll see to the right, is for the QB shootout, which was, I think it was like 24 teams. It's a different way they play it. I don't know if they play alternate the whole time or best ball, neither here or there. You can see Kevin Tway actually came in second. Now, that was with Rory Sabatini, and that was this past winter time. But, it was kind of interesting. And also looks like they maybe only played 3 rounds of golf. But if you look at the past results of this team at the Zurich Classic on this course, there's new greens, or I should say not new greens, but new Tiff Eagle Bermuda, which I don't think that should have a big difference on anything. But you can see this team is actually 2 out of the 3 made the cut. The first year was here in 2017. They came in third. And also recently, as recent as it could be, 2019, they had a T13. Now, they did miss the cut back in 2018. But you can also kind of see, and it looks like they switched it up. So right here is where they are doing best ball. So they're both playing their own ball, and whoever gets the best score. And you can see that if if you go look at even past results, that you're going to see a lot lower numbers. There's guys that shot in the low 60s and then didn't make the cut because once they had to play the other guys' shots, in that kind of format, it's a lot more difficult. Where taking, the best score per hole, and things line up where, you make 3 birdies and then you make 4 bogeys, but the other guy made 3 birdies while you're making the bogeys, you're going to get some low scores. And that's what you're going to notice. And you can see here, it was different where they actually started out of alternate shot and then went the best ball in the past. But anyways, this is a team that I am betting from a perspective of first round leaders. I think they have a good shot that they could do something. I'm going to talk a little more about, let's look at Tway Kraft and let's look at some of their past results, and then we'll jump into more analysis. All right. Okay. So this was one thing. So actually what I was starting to do, and I don't know if you've seen, but in my past, I did a birdie consecutive streak show. I think it had probably about 8 past events, and I took all the guys, figured out who on, that we play that has the most birdie consecutive streaks. And a lot of it was because of the bonus points. Also, what I found out is that if anybody ever has a birdie consecutive streak, so that's 3 birdies in a row or 2 birdies and an eagle, that they 99.9 make the cut every time. So it was kind of an interesting thing. I started to see if I could do that again for this event. It just got too overwhelming. I do have all the statistics. It's just getting it matched up with the guys and trying to find out. There's just too many guys in this field that just don't play a lot of golf on the PGA Tour. So kind of scratched that. But while I was doing it, I did stumble Tway Kraft. And what we're looking at here is the past Valero tournament, which was, pretty recent. And what I wanted to highlight about Tway Kraft is that, so this is his first round, and you can see, he's got 5 bogeys, had a birdie. But then as we kind of look around, then again, he had a birdie streak right here. And that's huge. I mean, again, you're still going to get the 5 points, and you're hoping on some of those bogeys that maybe Kevin Tway at least pars or even birdies. And then if we go look at his second round, the first night he comes out, has another birdie streak. And then, of course, actually had 4 birdies in a row and then throws 3 bogeys and then another birdie and a bogey. So, again, where I'm going with all this is that, yes, these guys are going to be volatile, but in the format of, hey, Kevin Tway's playing his ball, Kelly Kraft's playing his ball, that if you find guys that can get hot and have birdie streaks and offset some of those bogeys, these guys can do very well. And then if you look at his third round, again, nothing great here. Bogey, birdie, bogey. But then we jump in and the guy goes nuts again and birdies five of the last holes. That's crazy. And again, so that all I'm kind of highlighting here is that, when I went through at least the Valero, that he had the most birdie streaks out of everybody in the field. And you probably wouldn't think. You might not have a clue who Kelly Kraft is. I mean, he's not someone that typically pops up on our radar. So I want to just highlight that. For that team, I think they'd be a great first round leader bet. I forgot what the odds are, but it's up there, And again, I'll just restate, take some shots at the 100 to 1s, 70 to 1s. One of my favorite bets this week. And again, I could be totally way off, but just from everything that I'm seeing and kind of what I'm thinking is the Peters Lewis team. I think they're 70 to 1. And I think, those guys kind of fit this mold too. So, okay, lastly, I'm going to state that you're going to see that Seamus Powers did pull out of the event, I believe, due to the virus. And his replacement was Zach Sucher. And you might be like, who the heck is Zach Sucher? And the first time that he popped up on my radar was back in 2019. He's a lot like a Nate Lashley, a poor man's Nate Lashley, which then you're really poor. But he came up and was leading. So this is back in the summer of 2019. And he actually had looks like it's showing here a tie for second, but he came out in Fuego, 64, 65. Kind of had a rougher Saturday and then shot a 67. And the guy has, when he's on from an iron perspective, like a Nate Lashley, just has elite irons. But, from past form, as I mentioned, that we're trying to look for guys, you can see he's playing a bit on the Corn Ferry right now, a little bit on the kind of alternate tournaments. Nothing really to write home about. You're just seeing from a stroke gain analysis, just red. And a lot of the events he plays in, we don't get a lot. But I'm just stating that this guy can hit the irons and might be, somebody that could help. But I just wanted you to get an idea who Zach Sucher is. You can also see he had an 18th at Sanderson Farms. That's probably his 2 best finishes on the PGA. And again, some of this stuff is Corn Ferry, like this Louisiana Open. And like I said, in a recent form is nothing to write home about. But that is who Zach Sucher is, just so you have an idea. Let's go and just talk about some of the teams that I'm interested when we get down to the lower 7,000 and in the 6,000, because they said you're going to be here one way or the other, unless you literally just pick teams in the 8,000 or, low 9 to 8,000 range, which is, I'm not saying that's a good idea or a bad idea. I'm just saying if you're trying to put together some teams that you really think can win this thing, and then some teams that can at least make the weekend and get you enough points to be relevant, you're going to probably have some builds like that. Okay. So the first ones that interested me was Seb Straka and Josh Teeter. And funny enough, again, you remember the 2 key things I showed in my previous previews and picks. What I was looking at for the last 12 rounds is tee to green. And this is a nice, easy visual chart to see how these guys been doing. And then, of course, birdies gained. So who's making the birdies? Because that's what this is all going to come down to, as typical tournaments do. But this, I think, is even more because it's so volatile. And then I did put in recent results because I do want to see. So before, I think it was a putting kind of thing I was looking at. But, I said for this, let's just see who's even got any kind of form from this perspective coming in. So with that said, Seb Straka and Josh Teeter. And funny enough, if you look at the guy that you think would be, probably the worst, he's actually, Josh Teeter has been, making cuts. T22 at MGM, that's Corn Ferry, at Corrales, kind of an alternate event, at the PRO, Puerto Rican Open, the ATM. So honestly, if you stack up to some degree, I mean, it's a little different tournaments, right? I mean, you can't put the Amex against the players, but Josh Teeter's, been relevant, and he's actually had a better birdie average over his past 12 rounds by over triple. Actually, it's quite significant if you look at it against Straka. So they could be, and as you see, tee to green from an alternate shot. So this could be kind of a ham and egg thing. But both of them are in pretty good form. And so for the price, it's not a bad team at the 7,000, low 7,000 range. And projected ownership, you can see you're only going to see one guy is at 7%. And we are going to go to an ownership while I get there. Also, I just brought up Richie Werenski and Peter Uihlein, and this is purely like Peter Uihlein right now is going nuts from a birdie perspective. So over the last 12 rounds, he might be one of the top leaders with birdies. And you can see, he won the Korn Ferry MGM Resorts. He won came in second runner-up at the Louisiana Open, and did well at, again, 2 PGA events, which would be the Corrales and the Puerto Rico. Did all right. And also this, again, is another Korn Ferry event. But again, another team that, you might want to look at. And again, you can see, tee to green for Mr. Uihlein is not the best. But Richie, is pretty steady, as we know. I always kind of look at him as like a Michael Thompson, maybe a little worse, but, pretty good tee to green. And it's just, converting his opportunities, which Uihlein's doing. So, again, I'm just showing this as a possibility of someone that you might want to look at when you're down there. Also going to Chasen Hadley and Ben Martin. Again, you can just see here, and a lot of this you can see is just, for the last 12 rounds, they've been making birdies, both of them. From recent results, not great, but not bad. I mean, you've got Chasen Hadley who showed up at the Valero, an elite iron play, and I look at him as kind of a cheap Russell Henley, a very elite with the irons. All the rest is kind of suspicious. And then Ben Martin, which again, you probably don't hear a lot of, plays, quite a bit on the Korn Ferry, but did play RBC, had a cut, but played Valero, had a T34, Corrales, which was a decent field. I mean, it was an alternate event, but had a T9, a T23 at a Korn Ferry event, and then a Puerto Rico Open, a 73rd. That's not great, but again, at least made the cut. So again, somebody you guys might want to look at. And then of course, here's my Kelly Kraft, Kevin Tway team at 6,500. And from this, when you look at it, you're like, this does not look good. But like I said, that's why sometimes guys play better, and these two guys are great friends, playing this thing for a long time. Have fun at it, probably challenge each other, probably rip on each other, when they don't pull certain things off, but embrace this event. And that's, as you've seen, just from the Dell match play, there's certain guys that really just embrace match play and do well in that kind of format. That is really what I'm basing the Kelly Kraft and Kevin Tway off, is more of a historical enjoying this format. And I showed you that, Kelly Kraft can get hot, but if you see their recent results are not good from a individual tournament perspective. But it's still, again, somebody that you might want to plug in when you're down here. About Roger Sloan and Aaron Baddeley. Again, Aaron Baddeley is a player that I will once in a while look at for like a Thursday showdown, or even he'll just pop up randomly on a Thursday leaderboard to lead. The guy can get nuclear hot and then just get nuclear terrible. And same with, a Roger Sloan. And so, again, what piqued my interest with these guys is they're both over the last 12 rounds gaining quite a few birdies. You can see, Baddeley definitely up there. And if that works out, again, where they're bad holes, if they can complement each other, they're definitely going to get to the weekend and could do something. Again, none of these teams, I don't think, could win this thing, but could they be relevant? For sure. And again, I looked at their, recent history. So we look at Roger Sloan, a good showing, all in the 20s at the Corrales, Honda, a tough track, a lot of water. So somewhat similar. You get the Puerto Rico Open, and then you have a couple miscuts. And then even with Aaron Baddeley, again, Korn Ferry Tour, alternate event, Korn Ferry, alternate event, and then a cut actually on a PGA, pretty, stronger event. But that's individual. And what I was looking at is just who as a team is making some birdies recently over the last 12 rounds. And so, again, another team that you guys might want to look at. I've talked about Mark Hubbard before, because this guy just, has showed up. And again, he's almost like a Thursday, Sunday guy where, can definitely lead after the round one or be up there, and then kind of falls apart in between, makes the cut, kind of has a bad Friday, Saturday, and then boom, Sunday, lights it up. So again, a very streaky player. Now you can see over his, last 12 rounds, the birdies aren't as where they used to be. But I also know that he can get super streaky hot. And then Sebastian Kaplan, if you look at his recent form, not terrible, but he's also been gaining. And again, a lot of this has to do somewhat with the courses, but I honestly, even though this is a Pete Dye track, it is the easiest of all the Pete Dye tracks and very scoreable, which, like I said, we're going to see probably day one. You're going to see some low 60s. You might see a 60, 61, 62. So it's all about the guys that can get nuclear hot. And then again, my last team that I was a little bit interested in, and these guys are at bare men, 6,000, is Ledesma and Gomez. And so Fabian, I know, I watch him. I've actually used him in Showdown. Again, another guy, very good with the irons, can get scorching hot. And even Ledesma, you can see, here you go, right? Cut, 15th, cut. But the guy makes birdies. Now, I'm sure if I had another graph next to this that showed the bogeys, it would be, probably even higher. But that's not what we're so concerned about in this. It's the guys as a team that, can kind of ham and egg it. I make a birdie, you make a triple bogey. Who cares? We're taking my birdie. I make a triple bogey, you make a par or birdie. Again, we're taking that. Now, when alternate shot comes around, that's the difference. And that's going to be tougher for everybody. It just is. It always is. So what we're looking for right off is have a good Thursday, get us to the weekend, and, keep us, our 6 teams alive going into the weekend. And that's what these teams are hopefully will help you do. Okay, enough about those guys. Let's go into ownership projection. And this is being recorded about 1 o'clock Eastern on Wednesday. So now you can just kind of get an idea of where these guys, and of course, you're going to see one name. That's just the way on Fantasy National, which they had to do. So, of course, this is Cantlay and Schauffele. You've got Rahm and Palmer, Morikawa and Wolf. But anyways, just to give you an idea, the highest owned team in the upper areas actually right now, as you see, is Max Homa and what was that, Taylor Gooch, I believe he's with. So, just to give you an idea. So if you're up here, if you want the most, kind of differentiation would be Morikawa and Wolf. And, it's just going to be really interesting to see how they do in this format. My favorite team right now is in this range, as you see highlighted, are these two. It's still, Cameron Smith and Leishman, along with Hatton and Willett. And I just think they're going to kind of work off each other, have a good time, and they both can be super streaky. So I'm glad to see that ownership is lower there. Excuse me. And some other areas. No shocker, Justin Rose and Stenson is, quite a bit low at this range. You got, my Peters and Lewis, my bet. I like that team. You got Keegan and, oh geez, I'm blanking on who Keegan's with, but it's a solid team. I know they're both kind of very volatile, but yeah, Keegan Bradley's team that I'm forgetting, the other guy. Who else from an ownership projection? Here you go. Jason Kokrak. His team is at 19%. And then you got the Doug Gim, Sue, which, you know what? The more I keep seeing this, I literally might just fade that team, period, because that's a good way to get over. Those guys, on paper and everything, looks like it, from the pricing standpoint, it should be a win-win, hence why their ownership. They are literally the highest owned team right now, projected. I might just fade them completely and just see what happens. Of course, you got Tringali and Castro, who's at 18%. Oh, wow. So these guys might be the highest. Well, they are the highest one right now is the Neesmith. Oh, geez. And again, I'm forgetting who Neesmith is playing with. But, Chase Seifert. So, yeah, that's crazy that they're over 30% off. So really, again, I know you guys, some of you don't have access to this, but that's why I'm showing it is that, one way to differentiate is just kind of steer clear of the Neesmith team or the Doug Gim team, one or the other. You don't have to fade them both, but you just fade one of them. You're already going to have some differentiation in a lineup. See if there's anybody else that is. So, well, here you go. So I was just talking about the Roger Sloan Badley team. They're at 11%, so they're one of the higher owned teams down in the 6,000 range. You got the Romero team at 7. Let's see, is there anybody else? Nope. That's about it. So your big ownership teams right now are looking like the Neesmith and the Gim Sue. And Neesmith with what? Chase Seifert, I said? I believe that's correct. So Yeah, there you go. At least you got some ownership projections. What else? If we really quickly jump over to weather, I'm not going to go deeply into this, but I did pull it up and just wanted to show you right now. Thursday looks great. Again, this is Wind Finder. I'm actually pulling this from New Orleans Naval Air Station, which was one of the closer places I could find to the area. But Thursday right now looks perfect. Friday looks like they're going to get some rain in the evening, and winds are, kind of, whatever. Nothing too crazy to worry about. But it looks like Saturday right now is going to be the problem. And as we've known in the past, there is a lot of weather that come here, especially off the Gulf. They've had to, postpone. They've shut the event down early. But it looks like Saturday afternoon, or, we say Saturday start around noon. The weather could go a little sideways. And then Sunday looks good. So, right now, I don't see anything that's glaring that, would make you, especially because Thursday, Friday looks good. So I don't see anything that would make you pick tee times are out. So, if you are going to try to stack a team for an earlier, but really right now, nothing, funny enough, it looks like the winds could gust up to 20 in the morning. So usually people will stack an early tee time. I'll do it once in a great while if I do see a real reason, but typically it never works out anyway. So. Okay, so I think that's all I wanted to share. I hope that helps a little more. I'm not going to lie with you. I feel like this week's shows, I don't feel like I'm really giving you guys a whole lot that can really help you, but nobody is because there's just not enough out there, and it's such a crazy tournament, and you're going to hear that 1,000 times of, you just to predict. It's hard to predict, as you guys know, on a weekly basis when you have all the information and know all these players, but you put a team together, and especially some of these crazy teams, and know how they're going to react and who's going to have birdies when, and who's going to offset, as I've said, ham and egg each other. You can't. That's almost impossible to predict. So for me, a lot like the Dell match play, it's just one of those. I guess, would be a fun event to watch. I'm going to enjoy it, and where I'm lying is I'm going to throw some cash, but not a lot, into the DFS stuff, just to have some action there. And then, of course, where I'm going to probably be the bulk of my money is going to be on the bets, because I literally think, you could have a nice odds team win this thing and make a little money on that side. Probably more better than you will on the DFS side, but that's my own personal opinion. That's it. If you like what I'm doing, again, it means the world when you guys hit the like button and share with some friends. I'm at around 400 subscribers. Really trying to get to the 500 subscriber here by the PGA if possible. Going to be doing some more contests, to try to bump that up, and going to keep putting out, amazing content. Minimum 3 shows a week typically. And if I can help you, or if you got anything to comment on, please hit me up on the YouTube comments, or if you want to hit me up on, follow me on Twitter. I do, here or there, put things out, and would definitely answer anything I can to help you out. Okay, let's have a fun Zurich Classic, and then we've got, oh geez, I'm blanking the next. It's Valspar. So that's what we got to look to next. That will be fun, the Paul Casey tournament. So, all right, guys, talk to you later. Bye.